These are the fights that the UFC must make next. So Dana White, if you're watching this, get your notepad out, kid, because we're going to match make some fights. We're going to do your job better than you. Let's get right into it. Like and sub. We got a blank screen here. So we'll start with the first fight I got here on my list. Jones versus his wife, part 2. Jon Jones versus his wife. I think this is the rematch to make. The first fight is a fight that was very close, very closely contested. You only had a couple of judges there, that being Jones's children, but it was one of those where it was close. It was competitive. Jon Jones, he landed his typical eye pokes and a couple of elbows, I heard, but his wife, man, from the groin shot to the knee stomps. I mean, to be fair, the groin shot was illegal, but I don't think Jon Jones minded since he don't got much down there. So I think this is the fight to make next for Jon Jones. I don't want to see him versus Aspinall anymore. I don't care about that fight. I don't want to see him versus Derek Lewis or Jamal Hill or whoever else he wants to fight. I want to see him versus his wife again because she's going to be more prepared. She's going to be ready. She might have some armor on this time, maybe a Glock in her back pocket, in her purse, maybe some pepper spray, So and Jon Jones, he's a bit older, he's a bit more damage on his body. He's a bit heavier, so that might mean he's a bit slower. It's going to be an interesting rematch, in my opinion, if it were to happen. So UFC, make this fight happen. Let's put it on the White House card. I can't even think of a better representation of America than putting that as the main event of the White House card. Next, we got Reinier de Ridder versus Israel Adesanya. So RDR, of course, just goofy goobered his way to a win against Robert Whittaker. I thought it was a really good fight. I thought it was a really good win, a really impressive win. It wasn't really impressive, but he took a lot of shots from Whittaker. He kind of nullified Whittaker, his striking at times with his wrestling. Even though it was a bit of Mario Batista maxing and Marab maxing, it was still competitive, and it was a decently fun fight. And, I honestly did think RDR would make it look easier, so I shouldn't even say it was that impressive. I actually thought he'd probably get a finish against Whittaker. That was my prediction, but he didn't. But still, he beat Robert Whittaker in 2025. I don't think Whittaker is washed. I think he's past his prime, but he's not washed. There's a difference, right? So, it's a good win. It's a very impressive win. And I think he should fight Israel Adesanya next. Israel Adesanya, he's begging to fight. He's ready. He's prepared. He is coming off of a loss, but he's still Israel Adesanya. He's still top 5 ranked, I believe. And, Sean Strickland has been suspended for, I guess, punching a fighter after a fight. I don't know. Who cares? I don't know. The commission is very silly for suspending him. I get it, but it's like, I don't know. It is what it is, but he is suspended, so we're not going to get Izzy Strickland 2 anytime soon, which I ain't going to complain because that's not really a fight I've been seething and begging and pleading for. But RDR versus Izzy does interest me. It does, because I want to know what level Israel Adesanya is still at. I want to know what level his chin is at. I want to know if he can handle a guy like RDR and his pressure. We know he has great takedown defense, but so did Whittaker, and he got, handled a couple of times by RDR. So there's a lot of questions that I think this fight could answer for both guys. And I think one fight away RDR is from a title shot, and this is the one fight. So RDR versus Israel Adesanya. If RDR beats Izzy, great win. If Izzy beats RDR, that's a great win in my opinion. So that's what I would make next for both guys. Next, we got Sean Brady versus Ian Garry. I love this fight. I think it's a really good fight. I don't know how it's not been booked yet. I think it's one of those where stylistically, I actually do think it would be good because I think Sean Brady seems to be more of a pressure fighter now in his last 2 fights. And I think Ian Garry's, he's not going to allow Ian Garry to just be on the outside and make it a little bit boring, which Ian Garry has a tendency to do in his last couple of fights. He can kind of make it a bit boring, a bit kind of low kicky, kind of tappy, kind of. Look, Ian Garry, it was impressive how he kind of shut down Protest, but it wasn't like Protest was trying to take his head off, So I think Sean Brady would try to get on the inside and get the takedowns in, get the clinch going, maybe land some inside shots, some dirty boxing. So I think it'd be a sick fight. 5-rounder as well, I think would be perfect. I say make this the co-main event of UFC Abu Dhabi. I thought of that this morning before I recorded this. Like, you know what? That card needs some help. And Aspinall versus Gane is a great main event. I think this would be a great 5-round co-main event. Maybe it's not big enough. Maybe you'd want a bigger name, but I think these guys are big enough. They're in their primes. They're rising stars. They're both one fight away from a title shot, and this is the one fight. So I love this fight. Stylistically, it's good. And I think the trash talk would be good as well. There's a bit of A little bit of beef. Not a lot, but a little bit of beef. So it'd be good. Next up, we got Volkanovski versus Movsar Evloev. This is the fight to make next for Volk. There's just no question about it. I mean, Evloev, he just pulled out of his fight against Aaron Pico. And I think it would be kind of... I know it would be weird for them to reward him pulling out of a fight with a title shot. But I think they have done it before. Like, I think they... Who did they do? Didn't Khalil Roundtree, like pop for something? I know it was like a tainted supplement or whatever the fuck. But then they gave him a title shot. I'm pretty sure that's how the timeline was. Unless he popped after. But nonetheless, we've seen stranger things. You know, like they're about to give Yair a title shot, it seems. But I kind of don't think so. Because talks in that fight have gone very quiet. And I think Yair is injured or something, I heard. So I do think Evloev versus Volk is a possibility. It has to be a possibility. They have to make it next. I'm not an Evloev fan, but I can appreciate that he has had fun fights recently, and he's on a crazy winning streak. He has some pretty sick names on his resume as well, to be honest with you. So I think him versus Volkanovski is the fight to make. And also, you know, Volkanovski is going to win that, in my opinion. So as a Volkanovski fan, I want to see him take on a stylistic, let's just say, I don't want to say easy fight stylistically, but favorable matchup stylistically. And I do think him versus Evloev is a bit favorable to Volk compared to like Gene Silva versus Volkanovski, because that fight, that Gene Silva Volk fight, when it happens, if it happens, let's just say I'm going to retire from doing this. But yeah, I think Volkanovski Evloev is the next fight to make next for Volkanovski and for Evloev. Next up, more of an under the radar kind of fight, but we got Robocop versus Act Like Joe Pyer. Okay, be Joe Pyer. Yeah, so I like this fight. I really, really like. Fuck that, I love this fight. I think this fight, it's so good I included it on this, I was going to say this card, this list, because I do think it's a big fight. I do think if you see that on paper, right, no Anthony Smith, but if you see that on paper, if you see that on a freaking prelim, not even I think that's a main card worthy fight, man. I honestly do. Because some of the fights they put on the main card of these pay-per-views, I'm like, Amanda Lemos versus Yasmin Lucindo is a main card fight, but or Grasso versus Natalia Silva is a main card fight. No, Robocop Joe Pyer, that's a guaranteed KO or war or scrap. There's no ounce of anything. There would be no ounce of boring in that fight. That doesn't even make sense, but you know what I mean. That fight has no chance of being boring. So that to me is a perfect like main card of a pay-per-view opener. You know, maybe the main event of a prelims even if you want to really give them, or maybe the co-main event. But I want that on a pay-per-view. I want that on a freaking pay-per-view. Smack that on a pay-per-view. Maybe you could make that as the main event of like UFC Fight Night Brazil in October, I believe that card is. But nonetheless, this is a guaranteed scrap, a guaranteed banger. Please, UFC, make it happen. Please, I'm begging you. Next, we got Marty Fake Newsman versus Bilal Muhammad. This fight right here. This, honestly, of every fight on this list, I kind of want this fight the most, I think. Honestly, maybe not. Actually, I mean, I don't know. Actually, now that I'm thinking about how the fight would look, fuck. Shit, I don't know. All that cage holding, those foot stomps. You know what, though? I actually think this could be a good fight. Because sometimes we do see grapplers kind of cancel each other out. We saw that with Kobe and Usman. You know, we've seen it before. I can't think of any other example than that. But we've seen it before, especially with Usman, you know. So sometimes grapplers can cancel each other out. And even if we do end up with, like, grappling heavy exchanges, you know, look, it might look like an old man version of Serukian versus Gamrot, but it might still look pretty good. So I do think Bilal and Usman is a perfect fight. And I just, there's real beef here. You know, the podcast episode that never was, we never seen it. You know, I don't think it even exists. I don't know. I'm starting to think it doesn't even exist or something. I'm not sure, but the secret podcast that they filmed that never came out, and I just think it's such a great fight. You know, there's real animosity, real beef, and I think Usman is one fight away from a title shot, and if Bilal beats Usman, whew, Bilal Muhammad's the welterweight GOAT. No, I mean, I wouldn't say all that, but he's, as insane as it sounds, he's not that far off if he were to beat a Kamaru Usman. He'd be like right there. Yeah, he's already kind of right there. I mean, his resume is very good. So I do think this is a good fight. I do think it's kind of the best fight to make next for both. Because what do you do next with Bilal? You could do maybe Bilal, Sean? No, fuck no. Plus, that would be a rematch. I don't want that. Bilal versus Garry, maybe. Okay, that interests me a bit, but I don't know, man. I want Brady versus Garry, and I want the Unks to fight. I want Usman to fight Bilal. So let's get this fight going. Let's get the real beef going. The trash talk would be good, but it would be shit at the same time. So it would be pretty funny to see both of these guys with their trash ass fits arguing on a main card of. Maybe you put that on the freaking Aspinall card as well. So, but yeah, I think this fight is a great idea. Make it next, please, UFC. Next, this is kind of like feeding a lamb to a slaughter. Michael Chandler versus Mauricio Rufi. Now, I think this is a great fight. Let's say some things first, though. First of all, this fight is rumored. So, I've seen this fight being rumored for that card in Brazil. I don't even know where I've seen this, but I have seen this, all right? I have seen this being rumored for that card in Brazil in October. So, it wouldn't shock me if this is the main event. I know Rufi said that he has a fight coming up against a big name. And look, it's time for Michael Chandler to fight somebody outside the rankings. It is. It's time for him to fight somebody either. I mean, bro, he's like what, number 14? No, he's like number 12 ranked, I believe, right? Look, you could put him against Benoit Saint-Denis maybe. Or what, Grant Dawson? No. Fuck that. Give Mauricio Rufi the shot against Michael Chandler. I'm sick of Chandler facing, here's Oliveira. Here's Oliveira again. Here's Gaethje. Here's Poirier. Here's Paddy Pimblett, who's a big star. Here's this guy. Here's that guy. Here's... Like, come on, bro. No, it's time for Michael Chandler to face a young, hungry up-and-comer. He kind of did with Paddy, but, like, Paddy's a big name, you know? Rufi's a big name as well, but it's not really the same in my opinion. It's not on the same level, so it's time for Chandler to give his spot to a young, hungry fighter like Mauricio Rufi. Plus, I want to see Chandler get flatline KO'd. I'm just saying, the scenes of Chandler getting KO'd in Brazil kind of moves me a bit, all right? So, Chandler can get KO'd, and then we'll put you on the early prelims of the White House Kid. We got a couple more here. Leon Edwards versus Michael Morales. Again, this is very similar to the Chandler-Rufi fight. I just want to feed a lamb to the slaughter, you know? I just want to feed my least favorite fighters to their hardest test, and I do think, actually, I don't think Morales would be Leon's hardest test. That's like a JDM. That was Sean Brady, right? But I do think Morales has all the tools to beat Leon Edwards. And look, overall, though, all jokes aside, though, I mean, I'm not even joking. I don't like Leon Edwards, but all jokes aside, Leon Edwards can win this, and it would be a fun fight. And, Leon Edwards, look, he doesn't have a lot of fun fights in his pocket. He doesn't really... I can't name you a lot of fun Leon Edwards fights at all, except maybe... Well, that one time he got dominated against Sean Brady. That was fun. And when Bilal dunked him on his head. I mean, those are the only two examples I can think of. Oh, yeah, when Nate Diaz almost slapped him as well. You get my point. Leon Edwards is allergic to fun. But Michael Morales is not. The guy actually has fun fights, fun performances, fun scraps. He goes forward. He tries to take your head off. And Leon Edwards, we're taking that bald spot right off your head. So I think this fight is perfect. It's the fight to make next. Again, welterweight is pretty booked up right now. I mean, in this video alone, I've already booked like 2 or 3 welterweight fights. So, yeah, welterweight is pretty stacked. And this is another fight you could add to that list of stacked fights that could be coming up for the welterweight division. Next, we got Tai Tuivasa versus his Uber Eats driver if his Uber Eats driver is late. Now, if he's on time, this fight's not happening because, Tai Tuivasa, he's a very frequent orderer from Uber Eats. He orders about 5 times a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then I don't even know. He has like breakfast again, lunch again, and dinner again. So that's really 6 times. But Tai Tuivasa always orders from Uber Eats. And if you're not on time, and you see Tai Tuivasa that you're going to deliver to his house, you're fucked, kid. He's going to knock you out. So just be careful if you're working at Uber Eats or even DoorDash or one of these other companies. Be very careful because Tai Tuivasa, if you're late, he's got a no lateness policy. Being late means being hungry for him. And if you see him hungry, you won't like him when he's hungry, which is all the time. And finally, Paddy Pimblett versus Arman Serukian. I think this is the fight to make next at lightweight, the next big fight to make. A lot of people have been saying Arman should get the next title shot. Paddy should get it. Gaethje should get it. I say none of them should get it, and I say they all should either fuck off or fight each other. Now, it seems like Gaethje does not want to fight Paddy or Arman. He's not going to fight Holloway again, and he's probably not going to fight Dan Hooker. So, Justin Gaethje can go fight his fucking his, I don't know, his like teacher that takes care of him when he's on the freaking short bus every day. Like, honestly, I really truly think Justin Gaethje should go fuck off, and I think we should get these young lightweights like Paddy and Armin to just fight each other. Max can fight Charles or Dan Hooker or whoever, and let's get Paddy versus Armin, two guys who are in their primes, who are the best in the world at lightweight, to fight. And I think Ilya could sit out. He could wait. You know, he's not in a rush, I would presume, to get right back in there. He's not been the most active guy since he signed with the UFC. So sit out Ilya, sit in Spain, go beat up the Nelk boys some more while Paddy and Armin fight. And I think this fight would be phenomenal. You know, 5-rounder. You could put this as the co-main event of any card, in my opinion, and it's worthy. 5-round main event, or co-main event, excuse me. And you got two guys who stylistically have fun fights. And stylistically, this is like, you're going to get good scrambles. You're going to get close submissions. You're going to get some fun striking exchanges, I think. Look, neither guy is the best striker, but that's why it'd be fun. Imagine seeing Armin tag Paddy with a jab, and then Paddy hits Armin with an elbow or a kick to the face, and then Armin... Bro, this fight would be fun. And the build-up. There's real beef. There's real animosity. There's real hatred, seemingly. You know, they don't like each other. And again, the winner could face Ilia Topuria off of a big win. If you just give it to Armin now, it's like, when was the last time we've seen him? UFC 300 a year and a half ago? If you give it to him after he beats Paddy Pimblett, now Armin versus Ilia is a super fight. Same with Paddy. If you give it to Paddy now, it's like, ugh. But if you give it to Paddy after he just subbed Armin Serukian, or even if he beats him a decision, that's a super fight. So you have to think about that as well. Armin Serukian, look, should he get a title shot? No one should get a title shot. That's my point, at least. I don't think anyone should get a title shot. Not Armin, not Paddy, not nobody. They should all fight each other to earn a title shot. So that's all I got for you guys today, man. I think this list is pretty solid. I think I cooked up some decent fights. And yeah, make sure you guys like and sub, become a member down below. And let me know, do you like the fights I put together? What are some fights you guys want to see? Let me know down below in the comments. Peace.